I'm done with every single moment. I'm done with you. And it's been forever. I don't think I'll fully ever get over it. For now, I'm done. If you ever decide to come crawling back, I don't know what will happen. Hey guys, this is the story of us.
The story of us. Did you ever think the feeling of pain would be so unbearable people around you could feel it when the pain was inside of you? They weren't able to see it, but they could feel it. Even though your body was completely intact, you weren't bleeding or anything, you were just hurt. In my case, I wasn't hurt. You may be asking yourself, how does that make sense? It makes perfect sense when you're me. I grew up in a small town with a name no one cares to learn. Then you have to move on just as you start school. Finally meeting faces you could grow up with, but ending up meeting another that changes your life. That's what happened to me. I know, tragic. Having to move at such a young age, honestly, I don't remember a thing. I remember all the important parts, though. Maybe that isn't such a good thing. I was 8 when I met my longtime best friend. He was always there, and we had fun together. We acted out our favorite TV show, which was based on the four elements. Both of us made fake paper money and pretended we owned a store, finally ending up just climbing around places. A few years later, I turned 10. I decided I liked a boy, and it was him. I knew it was a long stretch, but I thought it was a phase. It was one of those crutches you get over in a weekend after you telling your friends who you liked. This has left me to this point, almost 3 years later. Clingy much? Agreed. Attachment issues? I think so. But I started again, with him making the first move. Crazy, right? No flirting needed. 7th grade, December 9th, 2011. It was one of our school's dances, and one of my friends wanted to go get a drink, but before I could exit the cafeteria, there he was, awkwardly walking the other direction until he stopped me. His slurred speech I found oddly cute. Would you like to dance? I oddly grinned nervously and barely only said yes. A whole sanctuary was left between us, and all I did was stare at the floor. I never thought I'd get to this point. I found myself at home doing nothing but smiling in a mirror. Crazy, a boy you had been friends with for years asking you to slow dance? Months later was the school's carnation sale, where all the guys would buy flowers for the girls, and you'd wait for them to see who'd you get them from. In the halls you hear a lot, but maybe the wrong way. I heard a girl say, yeah, I'm buying carnation for him as in my best friend. Instantly getting furious, thinking they were doing it as a joke for him, I told my friend on the student council. Little did I know the carnation was for me. Valentine's Day rolled around the corner, and I sat in homeroom with the flower our teacher got everyone when I was handed 2 flowers. Reading the tag, I found it was from him. The same him I believed to only be a friend. Just a month later it was another dance. March had come, and even more things happened. The Holy Spirit remained, but the awkwardness faded. The only conversation I remember was, "Are you two dating?" some girl asked us. I laughed and said no. I grinned for a bit, and then moments later he turned to me and asked me the funniest question ever. "What would you say if I asked you out?" Me, I looked down again at the floor, as always. I just looked up and answered, "I'd say yes." My eyes went back to the floor. I guess that was my sign of defense. No, we didn't get together then. After the dance, I didn't tell my friends until much later. That whole weekend all I did was smile. April passed quickly, and nothing happened. You would think that was the end, right? Most would. May approached, and so would the end of the year dance. You can see where this is going, can't you? Homeroom. I barely put down my stuff when I heard his friend call my name and tell me to turn around. I didn't, since I was fixing everything. Then another girl told me to turn around. He was wearing a white shirt, jeans, sneakers, and his face was bright red. Do you want to go to Semi with me? He slurred speech again. All I did was nod. Then I got butterflies. I wanted to giggle and I wanted to fangirl. School had just started and I had all day to do that. Finally, June came. This was the month everyone had been waiting for. People searched for dates, and I felt lucky to have one. A boy I liked me back. I felt enough. It was enough to ask me to a dance. I felt amazing. June 1st, 2012. I wore a beige colored dress with wedges to match. I felt pretty. Arriving at the dance, I saw everyone else in their dresses and I met up with my friends. Really, my only thought was, where was he? Until he showed up. Being an awkward 7th grader, I didn't say anything until I managed to say, I like your tie. We stood in the middle of everything with all our friends. It was still light out, so everyone else was standing there too. Finally, the room became darker. We started to get closer, and it was so much fun. The slow dance had passed, and it was still amazing. The Cotton Eye Joe had passed, and it was almost 9 p.m. I was talking to one of my friends. Then I turned around. Would you like to go out sometime? And that came from him. I just looked at him with the goofiest grin upon my face. I finally nodded and said, of course. I threw my arms around him, giving him a hug. We all moved to a different corner of the room, and we were forced to hold hands. It stayed like that for a while, so I guess it wasn't forced. Well, the end was coming, and so were the last 3 slow songs. We were arms length apart, as usual, since, 7th grade. But suddenly, a friend of ours pushed us together. Now we were doing the hug swaying thing. Honestly, at this moment, I don't even remember what happened. We were just so close, and I felt comfortable around him. My boyfriend. The last slow song approached, and honestly, I didn't want the night to end. We were still so close together, and the song was ending. And it ended. We stayed there hugging to what felt like forever. We stayed there after the dance ended. My friend and I went to her house. We were having a sleepover. At the sleepover, all I did was spaz around about how amazing the night was. Skipping forward a bit was the end of the year. He taught me how to play chess, and I got his email. So it was the last day of school. He took so many pictures, group pictures. His arm was around me at school. Rebel much? Then summer began. Every single day we emailed each other. Every day I learned something about each other, even about myself. Until one day he asked me to the movies with his parents and brother, of course. At first I was nervous about this. I hadn't told my parents he was my boyfriend. They'd tell everyone and bother me about it. Every single thing. I just replied, maybe another time. Maybe that wasn't such a good thing to do. Later on, I was driving home from somewhere with my dad until he went down a road and bluntly said, hey, isn't this where he lives? I sat there with wide eyes. I think, was all I could reply. On the way home, he was talking about the movie I was asked to, and I didn't even tell them. I got home, my mom explained that she was looking for a password and saw I was emailing him. She just checked one message, which happened to be one where he asked me to do the movies. I walked upstairs and emailed him. Is it too late for me to come? I asked. It would be on a Friday, if I recall. I had loads of fun, and afterwards we got ice cream. Later that summer, we hung out at my house, and his mom picked us up and went to the mall. We made a lot of memories that day and got ice cream. August 17th, 2012. I told the boy I loved him. I meant it. He said it, and he loved me back. School was coming around the corner, and I had known him for 6 years of my life. We were in the same homeroom. Starting school, we'd be together 3 months, and it was great. First day we had found out, though, we had none of the same classes. We wished so much and was about to be in the same classes, but it was too late. Then October came, and so would the fallout. October 25th, 2012. Downtown, with my friends and him. My friends, being themselves, kept trying to make him kiss me. We didn't. Instead, he took me down to a place away from them to break up with me. He looked almost in tears, really. And he could barely get the words out. I think it is best if we're only friends. A few lines that I remember from the whole conversation was, I want to, but I can't. And we're still friends. Best friends. I just looked at him, and he asked me, are you okay? I answered, I'm fine. You sure? Yeah. So, eventually we told my friends so they wouldn't kill us. We all sat down in silence until we all departed. I live close to downtown, so I walked home confused and in tears. I got home and threw my backpack to the ground, sat on the couch, and cried. Truth is, I wasn't okay. I called my friend, who was with another friend, too. I was crying and telling them what happened. I didn't know what to make of it. It just happened so fast. Next chapter. Now it gets complicated. December rolls around and it's Christmas. We're talking, then all of a sudden, what do you want for Christmas? Honestly, I answered, you don't have to get me anything. But he did. A necklace. I wear almost every day. Nothing else happened, and all we did was not talk. I used to think one day we'd tell the story of us, how we met and the sparks flew instantly. People would say they're the lucky ones. I couldn't get over it. People say if it takes over 3 weeks to get over a guy you're in love with him. It'd been over 5 months. I think I truly did love him. March 30th, 2013, 6:30 p.m. He asked me to the semi-formal. Again, after the longest silence, he asked me. Yes, of course, is all I said. I was in a fit of joy. 2 months passed, and it was June. June 1st would have been our 1-year anniversary. But too bad it hadn't lasted. June 7th, 2013 is where it got tricky. Yet again, I felt amazing that I was with him until my friends shooed me away. They were personally talking to him, and I knew that would happen. Eventually, he asked me out again. It made my night, but I wasn't thinking. Next thing, I knew my wish was coming true. I got my first kiss. I can say it did last more than 10 seconds. Apparently, it was both our first, and I was overjoyed. All I remember the rest of the night when I headed back to my house with the same friend as last year, we talked about everything. Yet the next day... Yeah? Very good. Yet the next day, my world went back to falling apart. And here's how it went. Hey, I was thinking about last night, and I've decided I'm just not ready for a girlfriend right now during the school year. And I want to decide when and where and how to ask you out if I do go again. But I'm freaking fed up with your friends telling me how and when to do so. When and if I do ask you sometime. Again, it will be when I want to and not when your friends do. At this time, there are just too many things going on and there is too much pressure. I still had a lot of fun and everything last night, including the kiss. But I'm just not ready right now. I'm sorry, but no matter what, we will always be the best of friends. If I don't get my own chance when there is less going on to ask you up to be my girlfriend. To me, the last paragraph hurt the most. I'm sorry, but no matter what, we will always be the best of friends, and if I don't get my own chance when there is less going on to ask you to be my girlfriend. To me, that really means that we'll always be friends, and I won't ask you out anytime soon. I felt stupid, and after a few days, I felt selfish. He was annoyed with my friends that forced him. It was forced, and I don't know, and I didn't know how to react. But I did react with this. Okay, we went over this before. I just want to tell you, if we are together or not, you'll always be one of my best friends. You've always been there for me, and I'm going to miss you next year. You being a part of my life. I just don't want to lose a friend, someone important to me. I just want to say I will miss you next year. I understand your view, but it doesn't matter if we're together, whatever my friends say. Ignore them, all I want is a friend, really. I meant that. I figured out I just want him in my life. Maybe as a boyfriend and maybe just as a friend, but really just in my life. Recently, there's been the largest silence. I would tell him I miss him, but honestly, I've never heard a silence quite this loud. Here we are today. Making a long story short, I was friend zoned, and then silence into nothing.